Patio Party. Joining us on the patio today is Ryan Watkins from Brownswood Nursery on Johns Island. How are you doing today, Ryan?
I am doing fantastic, Michael.
So today I wanted to concentrate on expanding your living space into the great outdoors. Let's face it, COVID had a lot of people going crazy. You got to spend a whole lot more time at home, so you want your living space to be larger, and you want it to be nicer, and that includes your yard. And at Brownswood Nursery, you guys offer landscape design services, right?
Absolutely, we do.
If I call you up, if I want to put a deck or a patio on, or just simply want to make my landscaping nicer, can you help me out with that, with your design services if I don't know what I'm doing? And I don't, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely we can. So one of the things that we can do is start out with a in-yard consultation. So we have a fee just to come out, talk to you for up to an hour, give you verbal suggestions. You can take notes, plant suggestions. It works best if you're dealing with one or two small beds that you're wanting kind of help improving or enhancing. Or the conversation can pivot more to a design estimate to kind of give you a framework for what a master landscape plan for your whole property would look like, so that then you can implement that patio or pergola or pool or spa or whatever it may be in phases in the correct order. And when you're done, everything is laid out beautifully and you're really excited about it, instead of sort of chasing your tail around the yard and then kind of painting yourself into a corner and wishing that you'd done it differently. If you start with a design, you're going to have a much better end result.
I think that's a great idea, and I've been running into that myself lately. I did my own backyard several years ago, and I put some stuff probably where it shouldn't go. And one of the dreams my wife and I have is to get an in-ground pool, but I've been holding off on making any improvements in the backyard because I don't want to have to undo them to make room for the pool. But you're saying you can come out there and help me come up with a design where we can do that in phases, right?
That's exactly right. And, landscape design and landscape architecture are basically for planning everything outside of your home. So once the home footprint is set, we basically help you think through all the other surfaces, whether it's your driveway, how you're going to interface from your driveway to a walkway, to your backyard, to that new pool that you want to install. We help you think through all of those things from every angle. We try to think about how to best give you something that's going to be beautiful and functional.
Now, do you give advice on, hardscapes, softscapes, and things like that? If people are kind of wondering, what should I do here? Should I do pavers? Should I do cement? Should I just do mulch?
In our design, we'll basically start with kind of the map. We'll take your survey or plat and basically map out where all of our solid surfaces are based on your desires. If you're a family of 6 or a family of 2, we approach, every client and every situation a little bit differently. If you have a half-acre lot or a 0.1 acre lot, we have to look at those differently. And also, just to talk about, the designing and planning process, don't forget about that if you're in an HOA or you have an ARB, homeowner association, architectural review board, architectural committee, whatever it may be. They're going to have some guidelines, and they're going to have, a few pages to thumb through of things that they do and don't allow. And so we basically get that. We find for your neighborhood in particular, Michael, we'd say, okay, let's get the HOA guidelines. Let's look through those. Do they have setback requirements from your rear property line for that pool, for example? And then there's city or county requirements for some of those things as well. So we try to take all those things into account. So again, as we're planning through that process, we try to do it one time, try to get it done right the first time.
Yeah, sometimes that can be a daunting task, and you're dealing with several different governmental entities, whether it's the city or the county. In some cases, it can be OCRM, the Office of Coastal Management Resources, maybe even DHEC. It can be all kinds of different things depending on where your property is located and what you're trying to accomplish. It can even be your HOA. So in addition to taking all of that under consideration when you're doing the planning, do you also help with the approval process?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a design team that oversees that whole process for you. We have multiple design consultants, like I said, that can come out and start the conversation. And if it's just one bed, we'll come out and help you figure out one bed. And that might be more of a verbal consultation instead of a full drawn out plan. But again, if you just built a house, you're building a house, that's a great time to go ahead and start the landscape design process. So that we can think through all those things together. I've had plenty of conversations with people at the last minute, they're pouring the driveway within a few hours sometimes. And they have me come over and go, what, they're coming to pour the driveway. I don't know what I'm doing. What do we do? And of course I do my very best to serve them in that moment, but it's better if we can have a little bit of time ahead of time and really plan it out instead of me kind of rushing and painting stuff on the ground before they pour the concrete.
Right.
But
nothing like waiting until the last minute, right?
That's right.
Hey, the cement truck's out front. Can you come over right now? Ryan, they're waiting. The guys are yelling at me, but I want to get you over here and figure out where this driveway's going.
That's right. And the driveway is so important. I think some people underestimate the importance of the driveway, the width of the driveway.
Absolutely.
A lot of starter homes, they give you just wide enough for the two cars to get on the pad, but not wide enough for you to actually open the door.
Right. And some of them are only, one car length wide,
exactly.
And then you have to go shuffle your cars at the, either park it in the street. In some subdivisions, you're not even allowed to park in the street. And if you have a boat, if you're allowed to store your boat on your property, I can think of a million different things,
right.
RVs, all of that stuff.
It goes on. And if you just plan, maybe sometimes it might even be 2 feet, 2 to 3 foot of extra width can make all the difference in the world. And so we try to prevent people from getting into those situations where they've spent, $10,000, $15,000 on a new driveway or patio, whatever it may be. And then it wasn't designed well. And then they get there and they realize it's not usable.
Well, I think a lot of people consider value to be simply how much they paid for it, and whether it's your driveway or, and I deal with this in real estate all the time, there is a value to having things be convenient for you, having them be comfortable for you, and having them be the way you want. And it's just not all, can I get the cheapest version of all of this? You have to take into account what's going to make you happy and what's going to work for you in the long run.
That's right. 100% agree.
Now, let me ask you this. So, and I've run into this, and I've done this myself. Some people will get out there and get all excited and start planting plants. And when they're small, it's real easy to put them too close to the fence or too close to the house, too close to the driveway, because they don't consider, how they'll expand, how the canopy will expand, the crown and the roots and everything else. And a lot of times they end up planting too close. Or in my case, I didn't line them up correctly. And there would be a line of sight, which would be perfect if I would have taken that into account, but I didn't. So is it possible a lot of times to move the plants that you already have around your yard? Say you have some nice big palm trees that you don't want to lose or anything like that. Is it possible to move those and still incorporate them into the new plan? Yeah,
we try to reuse and repurpose as much of the plant material that we're able to do, or that we're able to repurpose or reuse. You mentioned palm trees, so that's an interesting topic. Typically, our state tree, which is the sable palmetto, that's kind of that candlestick look. When they first plant them, they're called hurricane cut sable palms, and they don't have any fronds or leaves at the top. It just kind of looks like a brown candlestick. Those typically, if you are going to move them, they can be moved, but it's about the same price as a new one installed.
Oh, well,
so you do get into the expense because they can weigh a couple of 1,000 pounds depending on the size of it. But like a shrub, I was just at a property in the last couple of days, and they had some beautiful loropetalum and ligustrum. These are both very common plants in the Low Country, but they had them in front of their front porch. And both of those plants, these particular types, get 6 foot plus. The ligustrum can get 12 foot. So they've got, maybe a 3 foot space in front of their porch, and they've got a plant that the builder put in that was going to get probably, 8 to 12 feet. So I told him, hey, these are great plants. We use them all the time. They do very well. We just need to find a new home. So as we're going to draw up their design, we'll be repurposing those in the design somewhere else. And then our team, our landscape construction team, will dig all that up carefully and then replant it and transplant that somewhere else. So yes, you can repurpose many plants. Once they get a certain size, it does become problematic, like the sable palm, just from a labor standpoint. So you just have to weigh how important is this plant? Does it have sentimental value? Was it your grandmother's, prized camellia variety that she developed? Well, maybe we need to think about how do we how do we make this thing happen for you? But if it was a $20 shrub from 15 years ago, maybe we just move on.
Sometimes that's the most sensible thing to do. Well, Ryan, there's so much more I wanted to talk about Brownswood Nursery, because you guys have great plants out there. You have, if you need the right fertilizer for your plants, you've got that. If you want to plant a garden, you've got great edibles. And I don't mean that kind of edibles. I mean, like herbs and things like that. Anyway, we're going to have you on a regular basis here. So we'll talk about those things then, and all kinds of other great things that you can do to improve your outdoor space and make your yard more enjoyable. But in the meantime, Ryan, why don't you tell everybody how they can get a hold of you?
Well, our website's probably the easiest. It's brownswoodnursery.com. The main number is 843-559-3425. And we have all sorts of social media contact points, Facebook, YouTube. So any opportunity we can to serve you, we'd love to do that.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us on Your Home 360 today and spending some time on the patio with us. And like I said, we'll have you back, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, Ryan.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me. I'll see you next time.